Let's go right now. Episode 591 of the Soul Not For Sale podcast. Coach Colin here. We got Joe Rogan and the boys, Brian Callen, Sam Tripoli, Brendan Schaub, all of them sitting down for a fight companion. They're watching a fight, but trust me, when you see a fight companion, if you've ever seen it, you know, in the list, an episode just comes out and it's a fight companion, you're like, I'm not into fighting. Trust me, watch it. It's rarely all about fighting. It's usually just them talking about all sorts of stuff that's going on in the world. Always a great episode. This one's no different. And in this clip that I'm about to play for you, we learn about Joe Rogan seriously considering suing CNN. Now, CNN and Joe Rogan have been at odds for about, I want to say 3 years, back and forth. I mean, if you look up articles, if you look up CNN articles, Joe Rogan, they've written at least 30 articles, negative articles about Joe Rogan. It's never a positive take. It's always something negative. And what really tipped Joe Rogan over the edge, and I noticed this throughout watching the JRE, is that he didn't like the way they were handling him years ago. And you know, he kind of ignored it. He'd ignore it. But then he started really going in on CNN and talking about how they're just spewing propaganda. And then when they tried to cancel him, not once, but twice, CNN tried to cancel him very hard. And then he kind of got real mad. But what tipped it over the edge was this. I'm going to give you this context before we start, even before I bring you to the store. Let's get this context in real quick. Now, CNN, this is Joe Rogan. Let me just pull up a little mouse browser for you guys. So this is Joe Rogan on Instagram, just telling people about a health condition that he was having. And CNN took it upon themselves to cover his Instagram story that he made, or it may even have been a post, and they decided to make him look like this. They decided to make him look very sickly, very eyes sunken in, discolored, zombie-like even. And that was it for him. I noticed from when they did this, Joe Rogan didn't just ignore it like he usually does with anybody who's bringing him like negativity, but he started really going in on CNN, unprompted, whether they were trying to cancel him or not. Whenever they started talking about the mainstream media, he would always bring up CNN. He'd bring up their dying numbers. He'd bring up their dying platform. And he just would lay into them time and time and time again. And this is no different. See, this is what they decided to do. This is crazy. This is actually crazy. For a news outlet to choose to do this type of thing to somebody, to make them look like this when they really look like this, it's just exactly what he says. So when you hear Joe Rogan talk about CNN being propaganda, when you hear him talk negatively about CNN, it's not coming out of nowhere. It's not coming out of just disliking the mainstream media altogether. He really has a bone to pick with CNN. And we learn in this clip that it's gone deeper than that he's been seriously considering suing CNN. You're going to hear about that in 1 second. But of course, you know I have to bring you to the store. This is IamCoachColin.com, and this is the first shirt you're seeing on deck, The Great Resist. Do not join The Great Reset. Join The Great Resist instead, because crickets do not compare to steak or chicken or fish, whatever you're into. This here is the certified pure blood shirt for those of you that survived the pandemic unscathed, untainted. Good job. Stay strong. And we have here the public enemy #1 shirt. Google the World Economic Forum. Google, jumping over my words here. Google Agenda 2030, and you will understand quickly why this gentleman is public enemy #1 in my books. And we have, of course, the Soul Not For Sale shirt. Check it out. All of these shirts are available in hoodies, tank tops, t-shirts for men and women, everything you could think of, even mugs. So go to IamCoachColin.com and you can get any of those things. And if you want 10% off, all you have to do is put in the discount code. I kept it simple for everybody. I am Coach Colin. All capital letters, all one word, one L in the name Colin, and that gets you 10% off. And if you've done that with us already, thank you so much. Your support means everything to us. Now, you're going to hear Joe Rogan talk about CNN, but you're also going to hear Brian Callen make a bit of a fool of himself when it comes to him being super anti-conspiratorial It's hard for some of us to listen to, but believe me, he gets put in his place very quickly. Let's get into it.
That is Rothschild brand.
It's a legit news.
It is not.
Outlet.
Wow.
See, here's the thing. The thing is, news outlets like Reuters are what financial people use for information to transact on a level of billions of dollars. So a lot of the information has to be right. Can I give you an example of why? This is one of the things. I agree that mainstream media is biased. I agree that they choose to look at certain things and not other things.
Dude, it's straight up propaganda.
But okay, that's fine. But what I'm also saying is this. They also have shareholders, right?
Brian,
just listen,
no.
listen, please. Everybody listen.
Mainstream media has
Everybody,
shareholders?
Yes,
Brian.
so Fox News, etc.
No.
Now listen, please.
Okay.
They have shareholders. What happens when you lie and it's found out, when you straight up lie, what happens is you have a situation like Fox had to deal with. What is that? You lose in court. You have to settle out to the tune of, what was it, $700 million? And then there's another lawsuit they had to settle out of court with. Now,
that was the Dominion lawsuit?
Yes. Now,
Brian.
the problem, hold on. Now, shareholders go, hey, dude, you guys, the stock just went down in value. So there are a lot of pressures for a mainstream, for a news organization to at least be accurate in their reporting to the extent
Not
that
if they
don't
can
lie.
still make money and not be accurate, Brian. Especially if they're literally representing their advertisers.
But they,
and
if they
a
get
large
sued,
percentage of their advertisements are. I almost sued them. I
Yeah.
almost sued CNN.
You know what I'm saying, though?
But
I
Brian,
was seriously considering suing CNN.
Rightfully
I was
so.
like, you guys are out of your fucking
I
mind.
love that.
You're talking about a medication for human beings that won the Nobel
I
Prize,
agree.
and you're calling it horse
Look what
dewormer on
happened to him.
TV.
Look what happened to him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, but Brian,
Do you know what I'm saying? They
well,
paid a price for that. I would argue
Yeah,
that.
but they didn't think they were going to,
Right.
Brian. The most important thing is they are administrators of propaganda.
Yes.
That's what they did.
Yes, but it
they
didn't
had
pay
a
off.
narrative. Yeah, but it could if it
It
wasn't
could've.
against me.
Yeah.
They
And the
did it
shareholders didn't
against
say
me,
anything.
and I had 11 times more people watching my show than they do. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? So I just kept having expert after expert. I kept talking about
Sure,
it.
but
and
look
then I
at
had
Fox,
Sanjay
too.
Gupta on.
I understand.
But the point is that's what they do, Brian. It just didn't work.
Right.
Brian, at the highest levels of all this stuff are the same companies, and BlackRock basically runs
boy.
the Fed, bro.
Oh, boy.
He runs.
Stop
Dude,
with the
they
BlackRock.
are
BlackRock and Vanguard, you're so off on this.
Trump put BlackRock in charge of the Fed. They did that.
I just
bro.
want to know where the bunker is so I can go
Okay.
and take my
So at the
family.
highest
Just
level,
happy.
money
You're gonna
doesn't
give an
mean
invite before
anything.
you give
BlackRock and Vanguard, you're so people who say they own everything, it's hilarious. It's an index fund. You should have your money.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
You should have your money in BlackRock. Brian Callen's the worst. I don't know what he's doing. I know him and Sam Tripoli have this podcast they do together where, one guy's on the side of conspiracy, the other guy's not. But I think he's played into that character way too much, because it even comes on to this show. It's like, what are you doing? We don't need that character from you. To the point where you're praising BlackRock is just like, you're out of control. You're too out of control. It's an index fund. You should have your money in. No. And they do own everything, just so you know. I mean, even somebody who has more experience in business than Brian Callen or anybody who's in that room and in this room as well, Vivek Ramaswamy, he said in an interview, he said, you can't help but have your company owned by BlackRock if you decide to go public. If you go public and it's a publicly traded company, right away they buy the shares. It's just what they do to every single company. So to think that they don't own everything is just silly. They do. But past that, Joe Rogan considering suing CNN. Amazing. I would love to see that because I think he could do it. And, to what Brian was saying, you have to think about what he was just saying. He was saying how they have to tell the truth or else, shareholders, this and that will happen. It's just not true. I mean, CNN did that exact thing to Rogan, and they did not have to apologize. The shareholders were probably happy about it. Mainstream media is allowed to do whatever they want. I mean, you could think about anything. I mean, think about everything they say with Trump, that they've said with Trump over the years. They've never had to apologize for any of that. There's never a consequence to them saying that. I've never seen MSNBC, ABC, any outlet have to walk anything back, have to apologize. Never. So if Rogan actually did that, that would actually set a great precedent. a great precedent that if you're going to come at somebody and you're going to make things up, blatantly make things up, and they have proof that you're just making it up, then you're going to get sued. If he actually did that, that would have been amazing. But the thing about that is, when you sue somebody, even though it's you suing them, it's still such a horrible process to go through. Nobody on either side of suing or getting sued is like, this is great. I'm loving this right now. Nobody likes it. You got to meet with these people. You're giving these middlemen lawyers all this money. You got to keep giving them money. You got to keep fighting. You have to keep this animosity and hate in your heart towards these people until the whole thing's done with. It's not worth it at the end of the day, especially for someone like Rogan. I mean, $100 million contract. Some people even say that it's $100 million a year for 3 years. So it's like, what's the use? Just kind of let it ride and just let the content speak for itself. And I think that's what he's done. And when we look at CNN now and we look at Rogan and we look at who's bigger, obviously it's Rogan. And then we also look at who's more trusted in terms of public opinion. It's Rogan. He just is. So, a lot of people are jumping over to Rogan more than they're jumping over to CNN when something happens, It's almost like when you jump over to Rogan, especially if it's someone who's like an expert in something, you're there to see some facts. You're here to hear a long, drawn-out interview that's 3 hours, 3.5 hours in some cases. Whereas, at least for me, when I jump over to CNN, I just want to see their nonsense. Like, what nonsense are they going to spin this into? And it actually makes you a little stronger. Like, when you go and find out the facts, and then you jump over to mainstream media, you start to go, oh, okay, this is how they spun it. Okay, why are they spinning it that way? Oh, okay, it's for these people. Who are their main demographics? Okay, so they're spinning it for this demographic of people. Now, and it just all starts to make sense. It all starts to become very clear. So that's why I jump over to see CNN every once in a while, just to see what kind of stuff they're spewing out to people, Anyways, guys, let me know what you think. Do you think Rogan should go through with it? Because the way that he talks about CNN now, not just mainstream media, but mainly CNN, the way he talks about them, you can tell there's still a little bit he's still a little angry for what they've done and what they continue to do, because it hasn't stopped. You can look it up. It hasn't stopped. They keep on writing articles. They keep on doing coverage on it. It just has not stopped since 2021, really. So what do you think he should do? You think he should follow through with that? And if so, what would the payment be that they would have to pay? Could you imagine CNN just turned into JRE headquarters? Every staff member has to do DMT. Oh, that would be the one. That would be it. No money. Everybody has to pick your psychedelic. Everybody's doing a big dose. Everybody's going to have to look themselves in the mirror for what they've been spewing to the public. That would be my vote. 100%. 100%. Anyways, guys, if you haven't liked the video already, like the video. If you haven't subscribed already, subscribe. We're making 1 to 3 videos a day. Hit that notification bell, because it is very hard to keep up if you haven't. And other than that, I am out.